Okay, today's lesson we are working on lesson 5.3. Write in linear equations in point slope form. Notice that they changed that wording. We have been working with slope intercept form. I do have, here's what I want to show you guys. I forgot I told you last week we had something to put in our spiral notebook because we got to set up our spiral notebook. I come to realize I thought I had all these already copied and I only had part of them. I used them in Algebra and I didn't have enough for us. So I will get these copied today and we'll fill them out tomorrow. But this is going to be important. Make sure you bring your spiral notebook with you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to make sure our spiral notebook is set up for chapter 5, and we're going to put important parts that are going to help us with our test. This is going to be one of them, because we are going to learn about 3 different forms of linear equations. We've just worked with slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We should have that down. We identify the slope, we know the y-intercept. Today, we are going to work with something called point slope form. And I'm going to give you a heads up. Point slope form is a little bit different. There's only one part I feel that is confusing on it. Just one thing that you can get lost on. Otherwise, it's pretty easy, but we typically don't use it. We use it more to solve story problems. So you're going to be able to see that. Okay, let's look at our warm-up. It says, write the equation of the line. Okay, they want a line that passes through the point 3, 4 and has a slope of -3. What are the 2 things I have to know to write my equation?
Your slope and your y-intercept.
Perfect. I have to know my slope. On this one, my slope is -3. Do I know my y-intercept?
No.
They didn't give it to us. But because they gave us 1 point, this is what you guys did the last couple of days, I'm going to go ahead and when I use my equation y equals mx plus b, I'm going to use the coordinates x and y here and input it. So I'm going to say the line has to pass through this point. That's why I'm going to use that in my equation. So I'm going to say 4 is equal, and we put in our slope, times x was 3, and we don't know our y-intercept. But now I have an equation, and I have only one variable. So I'm going to solve. -3 times 3 is -9. And I'm going to add the 9 to both sides of the equation. And I have 13 equals b. We now know our slope. We also know our y-intercept. We can write our line. Our line would be y equals, m is our slope, -3. Why am I quit writing? -3x plus 13. We all good with how we do that?
Yes.
Very important. Always know our slope, always get our y-intercept. Now how about number 2? Do I know my slope?
No.
Do I know my y-intercept? So really, to solve this one, it's like I'm doing multiple questions. We did one day where all you had to do is find the slope. Well, you're going to have to do that. Then we did questions where you have to find the y-intercept. You're going to have to do that. Then write the equation. How do I find the slope when I have 2 coordinate points? How do I find that? Joshua?
y2 minus y1.
Remember, slopes rise over run, or the difference in y over the difference of x. Here's x, there's y. This is my second x, this is my second y. So I will do 8 minus, and my y1 is 2, all over x2 is 1 minus, this is the part I see the mistakes. People say 1 minus 2. Remember, the equation already had the minus sign in it. So 1 minus, and now this has a negative. Do not forget to put that in there. I go ahead and solve. 8 minus 2 is 6. 1 minus a negative is like adding a positive. So this could be rewritten as 1 plus 2, which is 3. 6/3 simplifies into 2. So my slope is 2. Now that we know our slope, we're going to go, I'm going to move over here. We now have to solve for y, or not for y, for our y-intercept. So I use my equation. Y equals mx plus b. And when we do this, I can use either coordinate point. I can use -2, 2, or I can use 1 and 8. You can use either one. It does not matter. I'm just going to use actually I'm going to use the second one because I don't want to mess with the negative number as much. So I'm going to use 1, 8. So y is 8. Slope was 2. X is 1. And we have plus b. So I'd get 2 times 1 is 2. You subtract 2. 6 equals b. We then can write our equation. Y equals 2x plus 6. We have our slope of 2. We have our y-intercept of 6. And those are the 2 we put into our equation. Alright, last one that we're going to do for a warm-up, and this one's kind of confusing. Yes?
I have a question on number 2. Which do you use the second pair of ones?
It didn't matter. You could have used the first one, and you would have got the same answer for your y-intercept. Yeah? So if you guys didn't hear Joshua, he asked, when I did this part right here, the y-intercept, did it matter which coordinate point I used? I used 1, 8. No, if I went ahead, and I'll do it quick, if I did the first coordinate point, y was 2, slope is 2, x is -1. Oops. Be right if I wrote down the right one. X was -2 plus b. That'd give me -4. What do I have wrong here? Oh, okay, I got this right. Whew, I about had a heart attack. It's like I'm messing something up. Okay, 2 equals -4 plus b. We add 4 on each side. 6 equals b. You would have got the same answer. So it didn't matter which coordinate point you used. Alright, this one can kind of be tricky. Okay? Pay close attention to it. It says, a carnival charges an entrance fee. If we're thinking of y equals mx plus b, the entry fee is something extra. What do you think that's going to be represented as? Yeah, that's going to be probably our b. That's going to be our y-intercept. And a ticket fee. One person paid $27.50 and bought 5 tickets. Another paid $45 and bought 12 tickets. And we want to solve for how much 22 tickets can cost. Now, if we use just random math and you guys were guessing and checking and trying to solve it, it'd be very difficult. But using what we know as slope form, this can become very easy. If you pay attention, we actually have 2 sets of coordinate points already. When they told me I bought 5 tickets and it cost me $27.50, remember whenever we have a graph, And our x is usually an amount of something, how many we have of something. And then the y-axis going up is the result, how much the total would be. So they gave us this. This is x. This is y. So I have a coordinate of 5 and 27.5. I also have another coordinate of 12 and 45. What do you think we need to do first?
Do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x2.
Good. We're solving our slope mainly. So I'm going to say my 45 minus 27.5 all over 12 minus 5. Well, that one's easy. That's a 7. And 45 minus 27.5 is?
26.5.
Do you use the calculator? Or is my head wrong? Okay, because I don't have that in my head.
Well, I got 17.
Huh?
I got 17.
Thank you. 17.5. Okay, now do 17.5 divided by 7. And what do we get? What? 2 point what? 5. Alright, here's the confusing thing. On slope, we've almost asked you every time, leave it as a fraction. However, when we have a story problem that we're solving for, I can't leave it as a fraction. This is actually going to be like my rate of change. This is going to be, I need to have it as a whole number. This 2.5 is actually representing what one ticket costs. Our slope in our story problem is what one ticket price is. So we found that one ticket costs $2.50. What we will now do is, I know my slope is 2.5, but do we know what our y-intercept is? No. So we have to do the same thing we've been doing. I'm going to use either one. I'm going to use the 45, even though it's a bigger number. I don't want to mess with the decimal. But I'm going to say y is 45 equals, my slope is 2.5, my x was 12, plus b. What is 12 times 2.5? Should be able to kind of do this in your head. 12
30.
times 12 times 2 is 24. Half of 12 was 6, so 24 plus 6 is 30. Okay, we're going to subtract by 30.
Welcome back.
And we get 15 is B. So our y-intercept's 15. What did B stand for again? Briggs told us actually before. It's our entry speed. Are we done with this story problem?
No.
No, this one's taking forever, but it's all these steps we're solving. It wants to know how much will 22 tickets cost. How are you going to do that?
You do 2.5 times 22, and then you add 15 because of
Good. What we're really doing, our equation that we will solve, is we're still going to use our y, x. Remember, y is the total amount we spent. We don't know what we're going to spend. That's the question. We know what slope is, 2.5. We know what our x is. Our x is going to be these 22 tickets. And we have to add 15. So 2.5 times 22 is
55.
55. Good. Did you use that method? Did you use that little shortcut method?
Yeah.
55 plus 15?
70.
70. So our final answer, 22 tickets, will cost us $70. Okay. Here's one thing I don't like is that problem took us a while to go through. And I know it's our warm-up one and so on, but this is one point I want to make to you guys. This is one thing I'm not seeing from a lot of us. To solve this one, we did a lot of work. We're in Algebra 1A. A lot of your problems are not going to be just one-step problems that I can just think of. Okay? I'm not going to have the answers easy. We have to put in the effort and the work. Okay? Let's look at this part. I told you we're not putting this in our foldable yet. I will have one for you by tomorrow and we'll clean it all up. But we are now going to work with point slope form. Everyone should make sure they're taking the notes on this with me because you have to be able to do this. Point slope form of the equation of a non-vertical line through the point x1, y1 with a slope of n is written this way. This is what's going to be new to you. Here, I'm going to write this part down. Y equals mx plus b. This was slope intercept. Today, you are going to work with this equation. Y minus y1 equals m, in parentheses, whatever, x minus x1 is. This is point slope. Make sure you have this down. You have to know this. That's what today's is going to be about. Now, these are the steps. This is what we'll put on our foldable tomorrow. I'll help you with it. We'll take extra time. I apologize. I thought I had them printed. First, you are going to graph the points x1 and y1, then use the slope to find more points. Sounds easy. There's one catch. I told you this would be way too easy if that's all there was to it. The only catch on this my coordinate points are the opposite for positive and negative than they're listed in point slope form. So, when I look at this one, here's how we're going to do this. Do this with me, please. I'm going to write right underneath here, y minus y1 is, oops, I'm going to get rid of the 2. Because I'm just writing what the equation is again. This is our equation, correct?
Yes.
So, to do this, I need my coordinates. I need one set of coordinates. And they are listed here. I'm minusing negative, or y1 and x1. Okay? Now, when I look at this, my coordinates here, when I write them down, are going to be the opposite. So, my first coordinate, x1, if I look up here, it's saying it's a positive 1. The opposite of positive 1 is
Negative 1.
So my x coordinate is negative 1. There's my y1. It says it's a negative 3. The opposite of negative 3 is
3.
So now I have my coordinates. Negative 1, 3. I go up here, 1 over, 1, 2, 3, up. This is negative 1, 3. We then use our slope to do the rest of our work. Our slope is negative 2, which we know means like negative 2 over 1. So I will go down 2 and over 1. Down 2 over 1. Down 2, and I can do this as much as I want. What's the advantage of doing it multiple times? What's the advantage of having all those points instead of just 2?
It's easier to make the line.
It's easier to make the line. I know my line's a little more accurate. I can make it a little more straight. So I just use my negative 2, 1 slope, and we made 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 6 points. When I graph my line, and now I have my line. That's really the biggest part what we have to do. So this isn't too difficult except for that one part. We have to remember our x and y coordinate will be opposite than what they are written in the equation. It will make more sense the more examples we do. So, like I said, x and y are on opposite sides of the equal sign. Okay? When we recognize point slope form, x and y are on the opposite side of the equal sign, which is why we have what they're saying right there, y minus y1 equals x, equals x minus x1. Notice, y is on the left side, x is on the right side. They're on opposite sides right now. X is in parentheses right here. Y is not by itself. Parts of the equation, same thing. M's your slope. X1, Y1. This is this and this. Our coordinates, and the biggest important thing to remember are they are opposite. That's the part we struggle with. Write an equation in point slope form for the line that passes through here. This is pretty easy. Passes through the point 4, negative 3, and has a slope of 2. Guys, do not be lazy. Try this every time. That helps you so you don't make mistakes. Let's write out point slope form. Y equals, or y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay, there's two methods people use. One, and this is what most students do, and then they just have to simplify it, which is fine, is they go y minus. They keep this part the same. And they're going to look at their point. What is my y coordinate? Negative 3. So they write negative 3. Make sure I should have a minus and a negative. That's what we're going to clean up in a second. But we minus, and then I say the negative 3. And has a slope of 2x minus, and it's a 4. Now, if we do it this way, we don't have to really worry about doing the opposite of our signs, because it will automatically do it. If you automatically put in the minusing sign right away, okay? Because I have to simplify this now. Y minus a negative is what? A positive. So I have y plus 3 equals 2x, and then I have just a minus 4. Now the biggest problem I told you guys to do was we had to have opposite signs. Well, let's look at this. My y1 is a positive 3. Is that opposite of what it was? Yeah. I have a negative 4. Is that the opposite of my positive 4?
Yeah.
Yes. So the easiest way, the best advice I can give you guys, is when you write this, leave this minus sign in. And then make sure when you write your coordinate, write exactly like it is given. If it's a positive, it's a negative. And then what we can do is go in and simplify later. This is our answer right here, what we have. Y plus 3 equals 2x minus 4. That is our answer right there. What? So, no, we do not want to distribute that. That's a great question. We don't want to do that yet. You're right. In the future, when we talk about doing something else with point slope form, we will take that step. But when we're supposed to write in point slope form, we do not want to distribute yet. All right. Let's look at this equation. Graph it. You can do this. We have to come up with its in point slope form. Y plus 2 equals 2/3 x minus 3. Here's my coordinates, x and y. If I look at x, it is a negative 3. So what is my x coordinate that I'm going to graph? What?
Negative.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Good. It's listed as a negative in the equation, so we make it a positive. My y coordinate was a 2. It's a positive 2. So what is my y coordinate that I graph?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Our coordinates are opposite than they're listed in the equation. So I have a coordinate, that's great. 3, negative 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. What am I missing? What do I need to do now to be able to graph this? I need my slope. Is my slope listed?
Yeah.
Right there. The m is my slope. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 3. 1, 2, 3. Up 2 over 3. I can then graph my line as straight as I can. That wasn't very straight. That's all we had to do. The question asked me to graph the equations. I was able to pull up my coordinate point and my slope. So here's the biggest difference from the last 2 days. When we did slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we needed 2 things to graph a line. Slope, y-intercept form, and we could graph a line. When we're in point slope form, think of that key word. Point, slope. What do I need? I need one coordinate point, and I need the slope. When we did slope-intercept form, we needed the slope and the y-intercept. It's all given to you in the name. Slope-intercept, I need slope and the intercept. Point slope form, I need a point and the slope. We are running almost out of time, but I want to finish this one, and I'll do your homework, and the other questions I can do a second video for you. But, write the equation. Here's the important thing to know. If I have a graph like this one, and I have to write the equation in point slope form, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. There are 2 possible answers. Always 2. Because in point slope form, I need the slope, and how many points do I need?
1.
How many do I have on this one?
2.
I can give you more than one answer. So I'm going to use this coordinate first. But the first thing is, do I know my slope?
Yeah.
What is my slope on this one?
Oh, what the heck?
Wow.
What the heck? Now you make a straight line.
What in the world just happened there?
9 on the run.
Finally made a straight line.
All right. Okay. Going back to this. Do we know our slope? Well, they didn't give it to us. But can I find my slope?
Yeah.
Okay. I can do two things. And I'm going to use the easier one. I'm going to look at my graph and do rise over run. So here's 1 point. 1. I'm just going to go 1 down and 1 over. I know that coordinate point. That's easy. So my slope is -1. I went down 1 and over 1. Or I just say my slope is -1. Here's how we do our equation. And this is going to be kind of where we leave off today, because we're going to run out of time. And then I'll finish this and put the second video if you need help. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the first coordinate, -1, 3. So I'm going to use my coordinate, -1, 3. We write our equation. Y minus, what's my first y coordinate? 3. Equals, my slope is -1. X minus, and my x1 was -1. Now, when I simplify, because I use the subtraction every time, I did not change this part. I left that, I left that. Now I need to simplify. Y minus 3, oh, I don't have to change anything there. X minus -1. Minusing a negative is,
Positive.
and then let me go ahead and think. This should be my equation, but let me think. -3, is that opposite than my +3?
Oh yeah.
+1, is that opposite than my -1?
Oh yeah.
Alright, we're going to run out of time because we took longer on our warm-up. Second thing I want to tell you, a couple things before you leave. One, I could do this exact same equation with 1, 1, and I get a different answer. That is okay. If on a worksheet or on a test or anything, if I give you 2 points, I will tell you the 2 possible answers. You only have to find one of them. When you guys leave, I will put this on YouTube. I'll put the link up at the top. I will finish the rest of this lesson, and I'll put the second link up here for you. Your homework for tomorrow, page 305, 308, 2 through 12 even, 16 through 26 even, 30, 32, 34, 40.
Okay.